Human resource management. Every organization needs or does a work with 4 factors of production. Essentially, they need money, land, and a very important resource is the human resource, without which an organization cannot start. An organization needs human resource as one of the important tool or the important resource which has to be a tool without which the organization cannot do any of its work. Now, why the human resource management? Why not the other factors of production? The other factors of production can be viable or can be put into use only with the help of a human resource. So this becomes the most vital or the important resource of the management. Let's go with a definition, a very simple definition, which says, very clearly saying, it is employing people, developing employing people, developing their resource, utilizing, maintaining, and compensating their services in tune with the job and organizational requirements. The highlighting point that the human resource management need to have people in their organization, developing their resources, which means by training the people is what they mean by developing their resources, utilizing them, looking into their performance, how they are performing, then goes with having been performed a particular work, what is to be given in the form of or to motivate them is their compensating services. Now, compensation can be in the form of a reward and in tune with the job and organizational requirement. Now, the most important thing here, which I would like you to look into is, the first thing is obtaining. How do we obtain? We can have 2 processes, which says employing people, where we say that recruitment is one of the process and selection is another process. Now, recruiting, we have got a lot of procedures as to how to recruit, and selection, we have criteria as to on what basis it has to be done. As we go on with these sessions at the later part, I'll explain you with the procedures in detail. Having been recruited or obtaining people, we say we are going to develop them. How do we develop? It says by acquiring resources. How? Giving them or employing them. Training could be in their field, which is on the job, or it could be off the job training. Having given training, now we have, again, when we go into further slides of ours, we'll go in detail with what exactly or how we train and develop people. Then comes the performance, or to monitor how people are being doing their work. Now that's the main thing, utilizing, maintaining. Now to monitor the people whom you have engaged in their work, in their job, is what we call it to be, to assess them is what we call it as performance management. The next thing we go on with, how do we say how people can be maintained or monitored? Just maintaining or monitoring will not help them. We need to compensate them for the job or the performance which they have done. So we give them in the form of reward. Now this reward could be either a monetary reward or a non-monetary reward. Again, this is a separate chapter which we will be handling to discuss on the monetary and non-monetary financial aspects. The next thing we have is, having been obtained, developed, monitor, and rewarding them, we go with the next one as engaging people. Now, what is that you have to do? Now, you want to retain them in your organization. Now, how do we retain them? So there we say that we haunt. We try to go for a career development among the individuals. We not only go with the training part of it, we now here require go with the training or career development for the individuals. So with a simple definition which says employing people, developing their resource, maintaining or utilizing their maintaining part of it, compensating their service, and to have them in tune with the job according to the organizational requirement. Every individual have an individual goal. Now it's like this, that these individual goals together come in, and to obtain the organizational goal, these individual goals are being culminated together. So thereby we try to acquire the organizational goals or objectives set by the organization. Let's go to the second slide where it says, what is this nature of human resource management, or the basic features of human resource management? The first, which I would like to highlight here, is your inherent part of management. Now, we don't say, we say it's a separate, it is a separation. It is a part of, it is inherent part of management. That's why we call this as human resource management. Now, whereby we go dealing, selecting people, training them, motivating them, appraising them, and the ultimate goal is to see to it that they improve their quality in performing their job in a very well defined way. So we say it is not a separate part, it is an integral part of management. Management is a wide term, and one part of that is human resource management. The second thing we have is pervasive function, which says this management, or we call it as a human resource management. We don't say it is only in the arts, only in the commerce. It is present in all levels of management in an organization. So every level which we mean here could be the top level, middle level, or the lower level. We have it in every disciplines. We call it as not only in, as I said, commerce or management. We have it in all levels of management in organization. The third thing we have is action oriented. Now, it is not just a plan. It is not just framed and put it on the paper. We need to see that whatever you have planned, whatever goals you have set, whatever objectives you have set, should be put into an action. It should be put into an solution. For every problem which you face, you need a solution. So here they say a management, HRM, seeks to look into a problem of a particular department or for the management as a whole, and they try to prepare some of the policies and see to it that these problems get a solution or try to be solved through the human resource management. So we don't say it is just a record or maintaining of only the paperwork, but then it is a result oriented, which we call it as action oriented. The fourth one we have is people oriented. Now, as I said, to start an organization, we have various factors of production. And one among them is very important is your people. So human resource management is all about the people who are at work. You assign them the work. And once you assign them the work, you wait for the results, which is in the form of a production or a service. And once they have done, their result is being produced, you try to compensate them. Having compensated, if it is not sufficient and a person has excelled more than what has been expected, motivate them by rewarding in different forms, whereby the total productivity is being encouraged. So we say it is more people oriented. The next thing we go into is it is future oriented. Every organization does things just not for the current situations. We do have two things in an organization mentioned. One is the vision, another is the mission. Now the vision is futuristic, which goes for a long run. So here we say the HRM, which is we call as an effective HRM, who's going to meet their goals or objectives, is not for the current part of it, but then it's need to be future oriented. So an organization has to set up a goal or objective which is not for the present but for the future. So HRM does a futuristic orientation or an action for the organization. The next one we look into is development orientation. Now, a human resource management which is filled with people looks to see out that, or looks to uh, pull out people to see to it that their fullest potential is being used. So how do we go about this extracting full potential of the fullest potential of employees? It can be through various developments. So you can have one best example, which I would like to quote here for you, the job rotation. If you take, for example, the banks, you have a lot of departments there. When you visit the banks, you find that the people working in the departments will not be there the same when you go for the next 6 months. When you go down there, you find that people are being put in rotation for the different cadres. Maybe clerk, maybe in the loan section or in the cash counters. You can find that people are being given chance to operate in different job sectors, whereby they specialize themselves and develop, and whenever emergency require, they try to fulfill, if even if a person is not available, a person is on a long leave. Now this job rotation helps because you have become a skilled or a specialized person. You can take over the job of the other. We go for the next one, which is very important, integrating mechanism. This is which we call it as a cohesiveness or building up a cordial relationship between people at different levels. As I was mentioning earlier, we have levels which we call it as the top level, middle level, and the bottom level. Now these people are of different cadres, of different position, different designation, different duties, responsibilities. Now here we say that to maintain, to them, maintaining them between different people, we need to have this mechanism which has to be introduced in human resource management. The next one is comprehensive function. The work signifies people working at different levels. Now, the HRM, where we differ from we have different forms, we have different shapes, but the basic objective of this comprehensive function is to see to it that you have the best utilization of human resources. You try to see to it that every individual whom you have given a job thereby is being utilized to the maximum. A person with a better talent, the most talented person, should be picked up, and accordingly you have to see to it that you're utilizing his or her talents. The next one we say, anything for this matter, like it's not only HRM, any function of a management is a continuous process. Now the company, we call it as entities. They are always living, but the people in the entity may come and go, right? So it says that a person who is there today may not be tomorrow, but then you have another person. Now this HRM is one which says you need to find out, you need to see to it that the human resource are being retained in your organization. To have it as a continuous function, you need to have people retained in your organization. So try to, in one shot deal, it requires constant awareness and alertness of human relations in everyday operations. You cannot have people with outdated knowledge. You need to see to it that one of the development part, where we had one of the function, nature here, development orientation, I relate this with this continuous function here, that a person need to be updated. You cannot deal with what was being there long time ago, or 10 years before, or 5 years before. It's like you need to update and make yourself aware of what is happening in day-to-day life. So human resource has to have, if you want to have it a successive one or successful one, it need to be a continuous function. In the last one, it says it's based on human relation. Now, every person has different needs, perception and expectations. When we say perception, people differ it's not said that every person have the same perception towards the nature of job or the work which is being given to them. And or we cannot say all the people have the same kind of expectations. Again, these two differ from persons to persons. A person who may be at the lower level may be expecting more of monetary benefits, but person at a higher level will not expect more of a monetary one. Rather, he might expect or would like to have his part of performance to be upgraded with some kind of recognitions, awards. Now, this is where we have the difference happening. Now, as a human resource manager, he or she has to give due attention to these factors. So, looking into the features or the nature of human resource management, let me summarize for you this again. It says, like it is not a separate part, it is an inherent part of management. It is all pervasive function, where we say that it is available in all management levels. It is action oriented, which means you have a problem and that problem has to be solved. It's been looked after by the human resource management. It deals with people, so we call it as people oriented. It is not just for the current meeting of goals, but then for future. The development orientations, where we say that it is by rewarding or through training people. It is also an integrating mechanism where people get together and work together. Now, the good example here you can have is various functions. Like you have marketing, purchase, sales, a lot of functions available in an organization. Now, you need to see to it that all those functions do have human resource. So each one have to correlate or cordially have a relationship so that it exists in a smooth way. It is comprehensive, where we say that the work signifies people working at different levels and each one have a different form and shapes. It is continuous in nature and it is based on human relations.